Hi guys, it's I Teach Math again, or as some of my students may know me as Miss Oliver. Today I come back to you with another video on adding and subtracting integers, but maybe a shorter version. The last time I think I did a video on just adding integers and I think absolute values, but today I will be showing you a video on adding and subtracting integers. Alright, so here we have adding and subtracting integers. You have basically two different rules when it comes to adding integers. There's adding integers with the same sign and adding integers with different signs. When you're adding integers with the same sign, you're normally just gonna go ahead and when you add, for example, signs with the same, like -13 plus a -13, your answer will be negative, and you just add like you would normally do, which will give you a -26. That's also if you have 5 plus 5, both integers are positive, so your answer will be positive, so that will give you a +10. So that's the rule to remember with same signs. -13 plus -13, it yields a negative answer, which will be -26. And then 5 plus 5, which are both positive integers, will yield a +10. But then there's this rule for different signs. It's quite simple, but you just have to really be careful. So for example, if I show you a problem -4 plus 17, I'm looking at this problem, I see a -4 and then I see a +17. So with different signs, it's telling me to add. Well, I'm going to add, but since the signs are different, that means I have to subtract. So when I subtract, I'm going to take the sign with the greatest absolute value. 17 is the number with the greatest absolute value. Remember I told you that absolute value is always positive. So your answer will be positive based on the larger number. So you're going to subtract as normal, which this will give you 13. And then you also have another case whereas you have an expression like -13 plus 7. Looking at these two integers, the number with the greatest absolute value is 13. Don't get it confused. Just because there's a negative sign in the middle, they ask you to take the absolute value. And when you take the absolute value number, it's always positive. So you know that you will yield a negative answer. So here, -13 plus 7, you have to subtract because the signs are different. When you subtract, you should get a -6. So these are the rules for adding and subtracting integers with same signs and different signs. Understanding same signs and different signs when adding integers will help you greatly in the area of subtracting integers, okay? So we're going to go ahead and look at that for a second. And we're going to go ahead and look at subtracting integers so that we can kind of piece it together. I'm sorry. Okay, so we're good. So now let's look here. I'm going to clear the screen so you can always rewind back to view it. So now we're going to have subtracting integers. All right. Not quite sure. Oh, there it is. Sorry for the delay. Alright, so we have subtracting integers. Just keep in mind how to add integers once we get started. You know, you have rules for adding integers with the same sign and different signs because that's what we're going to go back to as we subtract integers. And that's an easy way to connect the dots to help you remember. So, for example, if you have -2 minus 6, -2 minus 6, you see a negative integer, -2 minus a +6. And I know that we talked about keep, change, and I want to help you not get confused with that. When we keep, change, or keep, change for what you're used to, it's only done with problems with subtraction. So, for example, I'm going to just draw the words at the top. Keep, change. So this is how that will look. -2, you keep, you change the subtraction sign to a plus sign, and you change this positive 6 integer, because keep in mind the way that this notation is being used is minus a positive 6. You're going to change this positive 6 to a negative 6. So now, what do we have here? Yes, we have two integers with the same sign. So we need to refer back to adding integers, what we just learned, and how do we add integers. Notice we're adding integers with the same sign. You know that your answer would be negative. So in this case, your answer is a negative 8. So let's look at another example. You may have 2 minus a negative 3. You're still going to keep, change, change. Keep in mind, we're only keep, change, changing when we're dealing with subtraction. Notice our subtraction sign here. Notice that's telling us minus a negative 3. Okay, so let's go ahead in with the process to keep, change, change. You're going to keep a positive 2. You're going to change the subtraction sign to a positive sign. You're going to change this negative 3 integer positive. What are we going back to? Yes, you guessed it. We're going right back to adding integers with the same sign. So 2 plus 3 will give you a positive answer, so your answer is positive 5. Do not get confused with keep, change, change. Just know that when you keep, change, change, you're working with integers when you're subtracting, okay? So I'm going to put a few problems over here for you to work on. So let's look at negative 2 minus 10. Okay. Negative 10 minus a negative 4. And then let's just do something like 30 minus 4. 45. Sorry. That looks a little different. And then we're going to do one more. 20 minus 15. So take a second to look at those 4 problems and work them out on your own. And I'll give you a chance to write them down and work it out. Or you can just pause the video and resume back to check your answers. So here, once again, keep, change, change. We're only using keep, change, change when we are subtracting. If there's an addition sign like previous problems that we worked on with adding integers, if we're adding the integers, do not use the quick rule keep, change, change. Only when you see subtracting, all right? So here, keep, change, change. We're going to keep negative 2. We're going to change the subtraction sign to a positive, and we're going to change the positive 10 because keep in mind this is minus a positive 10. We're going to change that to a negative. And as you see here, we cleaned up the problem where we can recognize that we're adding integers with the same sign, which will give us a negative 12. I hope you got that correct. Here, just once again, give yourself a little note. Only with subtraction, I cannot stress this enough, is when we'll use keep, change, change. If we're adding integers, we just remember the rules for adding integers with the same sign and different signs. You know, with different signs when adding integers, you take the sign of the number with the greatest absolute value. All right? So here, keep negative 10 plus 4, because you have to change the 4 to a positive, the negative 4 to a positive 4. Notice here, we're still adding integers, but they both have different signs. So in this case, I look at the number with the greatest absolute value. The absolute value of 4 is 4. The absolute value of negative 10 is 10. 10 is larger, so therefore my answer will be negative. So negative 10 plus 4 gives us a negative 6. Next question. Once again, and if you mastered it, you don't have to continue to write keep, change, change on top of the problem. So you can keep, change the subtraction sign to a plus sign, and then you change the positive 45 to a negative 45. All right, so when you subtract those two, we know that 45 is larger than 30 as it relates to greatest absolute value. So this will give us a negative 15. Now on to the last problem. Like I said, you don't have to continue to write keep, change, change. That's only if you aren't comfortable with it. But keep, change, change is 20 minus 15. and 20 minus 15 will give us a positive 5 because 20 is larger than 15. And notice that that sign that you see here is minus 15. So the 15 is positive, it's just minus. So once you begin to understand, you can look at problems like this and know to automatically add because you're looking at, you see two negatives. And I can lead you into knowing that a negative times a negative is a positive. So here you see two negatives, you're going to add these two negatives in the middle, changes basically to addition and so forth. So just review this video once again and practice some problems that you probably received from me or any other resource. If you have any questions, just please feel free to ask me in my comment box or ask me in class. And I really hope that this video helped you guys understand how to add and subtract integers. And I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you.